Playing games on handheld PCs is awesome. I love the portability, but sometimes you want to dock your handheld and sit back on the couch and play a game while relaxing instead of leaning forward. And that means you're going to need a controller. And there are lots of controllers out there to choose from all different price points. And trust me, I have most of them here in the NerdNest. But I'm always interested in trying something new. So when Asus reached out and asked if I was willing to try out their newest controller, I said yes. Now, for full transparency, I just have a little disclosure here. This is a sponsored video, so this is not considered a review. It is an overview of the controller. I'm just going to show you the controller's features, and then you can determine if you think that that controller or those features are going to be useful for you. I will say it is certainly useful for me. This controller has TMR sticks, so they're less prone to drift. It has 1,000 hertz polling rate, so it's very, very responsive. Dual mode triggers, which is one of my new favorite features in modern controllers, but these might be the best dual mode triggers that I've used because they actually have micro switches when you enable the trigger locks instead of just shortening the throw of the trigger. Speaking of micro switches, all of the buttons on this controller have micro switches instead of rubber membrane. It also has a charging case, and it's called the ROG, hopefully I say this right, Rakiri 2 Xbox controller. But don't let the name fool you because it works on PC as well as Xbox. So let's take a look at it. So let's go ahead and take a look at the hardware itself. The first thing that I notice is it has a pattern right here that goes past all of the main controls, not the extra controls, but all of the main controls, like the sticks and the D-pad and the face buttons. And that pattern is the same pattern that you can see on the Xbox Ally X, which is right here. If I hold this up, you can see that this, get it to focus, it says Xbox and ROG over and over and over on here. And then the same thing is true for this controller. It says Xbox and ROG over and over again. If you flip the controller over, you can see that we also have the grip has a texture that says ROG over and over. And I like that. It feels pretty good in the hand. Next up, let's talk about the sticks. The resistance that you get with these sticks feels pretty good. You definitely feel it pushing back against you when you deflect the stick in any particular direction. And then the stick gate, which is this ring that's around where the stick comes out. If I completely deflect the stick and then rotate it through the entire rotation of the stick gate, it feels really good. It's nice and smooth. There's no catches or anything like that on there. So the sticks, I think, overall are pretty good. And then when you click them down, they feel pretty good. It's kind of a low bassy thunk to them when you depress that to get the I guess it would be the right stick or the left stick click and the right stick click. However, speaking of sticks, in the case, and it does come with a case, you have some extra sticks right here. We'll talk about this thing in a little bit. That thing is really cool. We've got some extra sticks right here. You can see they're actually quite long. And what I want to do is I want to see how easy it is to swap these sticks out. So if I take the right stick and just pull it off of there, you can see how easy that is. And then all I got to do is line this up and pop it on. And now you can see just how long that stick is. This is going to give you a lot more precision. If you are really into first-person shooters and you really want to make sure that you're getting as precise as you want to, having a longer throw on a stick is going to make it much easier for you. But you still have that same feeling of really, really smooth ring around the outside. I like this a lot. I'm not a huge fan of super tall sticks, so I probably wouldn't use this, but I know that there's some people who just absolutely swear by them. But luckily, it's really easy to swap them around, and I love that the case gives us a place to keep them. You just pop them right back in there, so you don't have to worry about where are those extra sticks. All right, we'll set the case back to the side. Next up, let's take a look at the D-pad. As you can see, it's a nice disc-shaped D-pad, which I'm always a fan of disc-shaped D-pads. The cardinal directions of the disc-shaped D-pad are very, very wide, which is quite different than what you see here. Notice how narrow the cardinal directions are on the Xbox Ally X compared to the controller here. And I prefer this a lot over this. I think that this is a better feel to a D-pad under your thumb. You can also see that the half directions, so not north, south, east, or west, but northeast, southeast, and that kind of thing. They have a little tiny mark, and you can feel that underneath your thumb just a little bit, which is nice. And when you start using this D-pad, this feels like a mouse click. It is so satisfying. I really like D-pads that have that clickiness to them instead of like rubber membrane. So I'm pretty sure that this is just a mouse click underneath these buttons, which is really nice. The face buttons, A, B, X, Y, they have that same feeling to them, although I will say that there's a little bit more travel than I'm used to with that particular button. You can see how much it actually moves. I don't think that that's a bad thing, especially because, again, it feels like a mouse click, but it's definitely something that I'm not particularly used to. Down here, you can see that you have your share button. It looks like a little eject button. And then we have our Xbox button up here as well. We'll talk about these other buttons in a second, but for the most part, they feel tactile, but they're not quite as clicky as these ones are. These feel a little bit more deep and bassy, but again, you don't use these a bunch during gameplay. These are to use outside of gameplay. Up here on the top, we have our shoulder buttons, and the shoulder buttons feel really good. Again, a nice mouse clicky tactile feel with these shoulder buttons. And then we have our triggers, and we can take a look at how far the trigger throw is. And I think that the trigger throw on this is pretty decent. You can definitely feel the resistance. If you take a look at it, you can see that it's kind of half-toned. Half of it has a texture on it, which feels really nice. The other half is smooth. And you could say the same thing about the bumpers. The top half of the bumpers are smooth, and then it's got just a little bit of that pattern right here as well. Right between the bumpers, we've got our USB-C cable for charging, but we'll talk about charging in a little bit as well. Let's flip this puppy over. And on the back, you can see we have 4 extra grip buttons right here. One thing that I will note is that they're not labeled. I do wish that they were labeled, but they did not label them, and that's not that big of a deal. You'll also notice that here you have 3 options for connectivity. You can either connect it through a wireless dongle. The wireless dongle is actually included right in here, so you don't have to go looking for it. It's always going to be in your controller or in the computer that you have it hooked up to. Then we have USB, so if you want to get wired instead of wireless. I hate wired, so I'm not going to do that. And then we have Bluetooth as well. Then on the other side of these pogo pins, you have Xbox versus PC, so you can switch it over and connect it to an Xbox, or you can flip it over and connect it to a PC. And that's really nice that you can use the same controller on multiple devices that way. And then up here, it looks like we have a pairing button. First, I thought that said PWR. It's kind of hard to read it, but it says pair, so you can pair it to different things. And then we also have trigger locks. The trigger locks are fantastic. They're not hard to flip, but I don't think I would flip them by accident, which is really important. And the thing that I like most about this, the trigger locks, is now it turns this into a very tactile, mouse buttony feeling trigger. So if you're playing a first-person shooter, you can get those shots off very quickly. But if you want to switch over and play a racing game or some other kind of game that requires you to have analog triggers, you also have those. So my first impressions with this controller are the sticks are absolutely fantastic. The D-pad has that nice tactile feel that I really like. I can't wait to see how this performs in-game. The face buttons all feel really, really good. And overall, the controls all across this entire controller feel fantastic. This is probably one of the best feeling controllers that I've had here in the NerdNest in a long time. But let's go ahead and talk about how we charge it. So like I said before, you can plug it in via USB-C, or you have this. Now, when you unbox your controller, it's going to come with these two things. Make sure that you don't throw them out. They're kind of off on the side and you might not notice them. But if you look, one of them is labeled left and the other one is labeled right. And those are so you can put them in here. And then you have this that you can just set on your desk. You can plug the USB into it. And then when you're done with the controller for the day, you can set it there and it will start charging, which is awesome. However, you don't have to use these little feet, because if you look at the case, on the top of the case, we've got this little flap, and that flap lines up perfectly, if I can close that again, with the USB-C port right here. So if I open this up, I can set this in here and you can see there's the little spot for the USB-C to come in. I can set this right here in the case. And then when I am not using the controller, I can put it in its case and have it connect via the pogo pins, and then it can charge in the case. And then if I'm going somewhere and I want to take a controller with me, all I got to do is zip it closed, unplug the plug from the back of the case here, and I can take it with me without having to worry about charging it. All right, so here I am at gearlink.asus.com. I'm going to press this connect button and I'm going to say allow, and it's going to show me my controller, and I'm just going to go ahead and select it and then hit connect. And this is just a website. I don't actually have to like download software for it once you do your firmware updates and everything, but I'm going to push a button on here and it's going to tell me my device is set with the M5 and M6 buttons. I'm going to leave it alone. So I'm just going to say cancel. So it's set up the way that it's supposed to be already. And I want to show you how to set your rear buttons to whatever it is that you want. So if I scroll down here, it says button settings. Oh, you can see like I just bumped the controller right here and you can see it being shown on the display. But my button settings down here, if I click on those, on the back, I have my M1, M3, M2, and M4. All right, as you can see right there. And if I select M1, well, that was M3. If I select M1, having trouble seeing it because of the angle of the Xbox Ally X, you can see that currently I have M1 set to B. Now, if you wanted to change that, all you had to do is come over here to remap button and then select a button from this list and it will automatically be switched over. I'm going to go ahead and close this out and then I'm going to start up Xbox. You can see that because I'm running Windows, I'm going to go back into the Xbox full screen experience. And just to reiterate, even though all of the things that I've said about this controller have been glowing, the best part about this controller is that it has all of the buttons that my Xbox Ally X has. It has an Xbox button, it has an Armory Crate button, it has a library button. And this is something that most people run into when they get a device like this and then they dock it for the first time. Suddenly they don't have access to all of these extra buttons because most controllers don't have those. Because this has all of those extra buttons, it is the perfect controller to go along with the Xbox Ally X. Now let's jump in and actually try it in some games. All right, here you can see I'm in Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. You can see I have absolutely no problem firing off Hadoukens. However, Shoryukens, oh, I got that one, which I've always had a hard time with Shoryukens. I mean, hell, I have trouble saying Shoryuken, but I also have trouble pulling them off. I would say I'm probably at about a 50% success rate on the Shoryukens. But I don't fault the controller. I think more of that has to do with my skill level with the motion of actually firing that off. I feel like this D-pad feels fantastic when you're playing. And if I were just better at fighting games, then this would be absolutely fantastic. All right, next up, I'm going to test out the Iron Meat test. This is Iron Meat, which is a Contra-like game. And I got the idea for this from my friend Russ, aka Retro Game Core. Basically, when he tests out D-pads, what he does is he holds down on a D-pad in Contra and then rocks the D-pad back and forth to see how many accidental diagonals come in. So I'm going to start rocking the D-pad back and forth. and I am not seeing anything. I'm going to try pushing even harder. No accidental diagonals that I can really see so far. However, how easy is it to actually hit the diagonal? Well, let's find out. It looks like it's pretty easy for me to hit the diagonals, so I have no complaints there. And if you have not played this game, you absolutely should. It's so fun. I've already beat this game twice because, whoops, I will say that I can't really see what the hell I'm doing, so it's hard for me to actually hit my targets here. There we go. Let's grab that. So as I am moving this D-pad around, because of the concave or convex nature of it, whoops, I did not mean to hit that button. So let me do this, go back. Because of the D-pad being the shape that it is, and if I hold it kind of sideways, you can see how much it dips down in the middle there. I feel like it's very easy to roll, which is why it performed so well for Hadoukens, because that's that rolling motion. And when you are playing a game like Iron Meat, there's a lot of rolling the D-pad up and down in order to hit the enemies at diagonals. And I feel like it's really good for that as well. Now, once you dock your Xbox Ally X, you lose access to all of these buttons that are on there, except if you have this controller, because it has basically every button that's there. So if I want to, I can press the Armory Crate button, and right now I'm playing Celeste, and because I'm playing Celeste, it's fine for me to be playing on silent. But if I were using a game that needed more power, well, I could easily switch to either performance or turbo, or I could go through and make any of these adjustments that if I needed to. If I want, I can use the bumpers in order to swap between all of this stuff. So if I wanted to change my volume, or if I wanted to change the brightness of the screen, I would easily be able to do that here. And this just makes it really easy to navigate your system when it's docked. It's great that Microsoft has come up with the Xbox full screen experience, but I feel like having these extra buttons on here just makes it so much easier to use, and I like that a lot. I also will say that most of the time when I have RGB on a controller or something, I turn it off, but this is super subtle. I like that it's not around the stick, and it's just this logo in the middle so that you know that it's on, and then this part right here, which most of the time you wouldn't even see, but I like that it's there if I want it. And I also like how subtle it is. It's not in your face, it's not overly bright, and overall I think it looks really nice. But what do you guys think of the Rikiri 2? It's a pretty expensive controller, but the build quality is top of the line. I think my only gripe with this controller is the fact that it doesn't have gyro. That may or may not be a deal breaker for you, but personally I really would have liked to see that included. From the Nerd Nest, I'm Bill. Thanks for watching, and if it's your first time here, please subscribe. Stay rad.